Whoever controls people's deepest emotions also shapes the way they see the world. It's an uncomfortable truth, but it's essential to understanding the thought of Baruch Spinoza, one of the clearest and most radical philosophers of the 17th century. His sharp gaze dismantled the structures of reality, revealing how fear, anxiety, and pain are not just personal experiences, but tools that have always been used to maintain power. When fear takes over, the mind weakens, adjusts, and stops seeing alternatives. It's on this fertile ground that control grows strongest. Freeing oneself from sadness and fear is not a private gesture. It's a deeply transformative act. Most people, however, live inside a collective illusion. They believe fear is a natural, unavoidable reaction to life's events. They believe suffering is an inescapable condition, a fixed price of existence. But what if that's not true? What if fear is nothing more than a mental construct, a distorted reflection of unexamined thoughts? Centuries ago, Spinoza dismantled this belief with the cool precision of a geometer and the clarity of a surgeon. He showed how rational understanding of reality can ease emotional weight and transform the way life itself is experienced. Amsterdam, 17th century. A city buzzing with trade, ideas, religious tension, and cultural ferment. This is where Baruch Spinoza was born in 1632, into a Sephardic Jewish community tightly controlled by religious authorities. His parents were merchants who had fled the Inquisition, and young Baruch grew up in an environment where free thought was not welcomed. His precocious intelligence and rare curiosity led him to question what everyone else took for granted. For him, the universe was not ruled by a capricious will that rewards and punishes, but by immutable laws that govern everything. God, in his view, was not a separate being, but the very structure of reality. A disruptive idea for his time, one that quickly made him a troubling presence. When a thought becomes too dangerous for the established order, institutions always respond the same way. They isolate, silence, erase. At just 23, Spinoza faced a harsh act. He was officially expelled from his community. No one was allowed to speak to him, help him, or even utter his name. He was cut off from friends, family, and environment, a sentence to silence and oblivion. But instead of breaking him, that isolation became fertile ground. He made a living polishing lenses, and, away from the pressures of society, built a philosophy that would change the very conception of freedom and human thought. Society believes in free will, the idea that each person is the absolute master of their actions. Spinoza overturned this vision with disarming consistency. Every decision, emotion, and desire arises from a chain of causes that lie beyond personal control. Nothing happens by pure chance. Everything is determined by internal and external conditions. Suffering over what cannot be changed is useless. Understanding that reality follows a necessary order opens the door to a new kind of freedom, inner freedom. Pain doesn't come from events themselves, but from how they are interpreted. Rigid expectations, the attachment to how life should be, produce frustration when reality takes another path. Spinoza teaches that happiness is not born from trying to control the universe, but from lucid acceptance of what is. When something happens, it's not punishment or cosmic injustice. It's simply the natural outcome of the laws that govern existence. From this vision emerge three essential processes for freeing oneself from fear and emotional suffering. The first is learning to observe emotions without being carried away by them. Fear, anger, sadness are not dark enemies to fight against, but signals to understand. Spinoza saw emotions as an integral part of human nature. When an emotion arises, the usual response is impulsive: to run away, to attack, or to endlessly ruminate. Pausing for a moment and asking whether that fear is real or just a mental construction changes everything. Many fears are born from unfounded assumptions, exaggerated scenarios, mental images that don't match actual reality. How many times has a worry turned out to be wildly disproportionate to what actually happened? Looking at the emotion with some distance, without judgment or immediate reaction, reduces its intensity and brings clarity back. The second process is using reason to see reality more clearly. For Spinoza, reason is the most powerful tool against emotional distortions. When faced with a negative event, the first reaction is often personal and subjective. A critique is felt as an attack, a failure as a final condemnation. But shifting perspective can completely overturn this perception. That critique can become a chance to improve. That failure can open a new path. Pain doesn't arise directly from events, but from the meaning attached to them. The third process is accepting what cannot be changed. Much suffering is born from resistance to reality. Some events are simply beyond human control. A canceled flight, a missed opportunity, the end of an important chapter. In these moments, frustration is natural, but fighting against the inevitable only intensifies the torment. Acceptance doesn't mean surrender. It means stopping the waste of energy in a battle that can't be won. When the mind stops resisting what cannot be changed, it frees up space to see new possibilities and solutions that were invisible before. Those who grasp these principles stop living crushed by the past and fearing the future obsessively. Fear doesn't vanish because the world becomes easier. It fades because the way of looking at it changes. Desire is the essence of human nature, Spinoza wrote. It means that every individual is driven by deep forces they cannot fully control. Yet, becoming aware of this mechanism opens a path toward inner freedom. At the end of his life, Spinoza had no wealth, no power, no official honors. And yet, he had found something no authority could ever take away: inner peace. His thought has endured through the centuries and continues to speak to anyone seeking a clear and authentic way of living. Understanding reality for what it truly is, without illusions and induced fears, allows for a calmer, more lucid way of facing existence. It doesn't mean erasing pain or pretending everything is fine. It means recognizing that every event follows a natural order. Within this awareness lies a space of genuine, silent, lasting freedom. The world doesn't change to fit individual hopes, but it is possible to change the way it's navigated. In this shift of perspective lies the key to living without fear.